This past Thursday, Scott Wilson, Will Castle, and myself, the original three of Chew on This, sat down to chew on the NFL playoffs. We talked about this weekend's matchups and more on Chew on This, NFL playoff talk on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Bob Alvis, Scott Wilson, Will Castle, Kyle Haney. Chew on This. Kyle, how are you? He's not here. That was a joke, folks. We'll poke fun at him later. But the core three, the original Musketeers, are here. Gentlemen, NFL playoffs begin on Saturday. And I'll be honest with you, the two games that are on Saturday I thought would be the Sunday games, just so NBC could get the two Sunday games, the Saturday games, with a New York market team and then obviously Tebow. But I digress. Saturday.
A score of 7-3, I think, made that real easy for NBC to say. Tebow's not that good.
And I don't know if they.
Get the first one?
I was going to say I don't know if they get the first choice or not.
The way I heard it, it almost sounded like they got first dibs on.
I'm still surprised they didn't take Atlanta though in the Giants, but I digress. Let's get into the first game: Cincinnati and Houston. I like Houston.
Yeah.
Really? Why? I don't like Houston, honestly, but I mean, I just feel that because no one thinks they're going to win and because they've stumbled like, drunks into the playoffs.
Which they did. I mean, it's only a 3-point game. It's only a 3-point spread. I think Cincinnati's, I don't think they have much of a run game. It seems like they stopped running the ball near the end of the game. Their defense is solid, don't get me wrong. That defense is good. Dalton seems to be dropping off. Like,
you have seen T.J. Yates play, though, haven't you?
I can't say as I have.
Well, neither have a lot of other people. He's not that good. Jake Delhomme is the backup / starter, and
I mean they're running a really simple playbook too with that.
And they got your boy Wade on the defense.
The human puffin.
I do think you have to keep in mind Houston did beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati not too long ago when the same quarterbacks were playing quarterback. I think it's really just they're at home.
Tough to beat a team 2 times.
Really?
But I don't know.
It's tough to beat a team 3 times.
I say that when you're only playing
tough
one.
to beat it 3 times.
Which is why I'm glad the Saints didn't draw the Falcons. Instead, they drew the Lions. I like the Saints. I think they're just playing too well right now.
That was a really good transition.
I'm a semi-professional at this now.
I mean, I had the Saints going to the Super Bowl, so I like them in this game.
It's not a question of are the Saints going to win. The question is the over-under. The over-under is 59 points. Think about the score for that to get over to 59 points. Their last game did, I think they did it. But
West Virginia had more than that by themselves.
Wait a minute. Hold on. West Virginia just scored again, by the way, folks. Well, let's say you get 3 touchdowns from Breeze and 3 touchdowns from Stafford. And I think that's liberal.
That's 42.
Or conservative, excuse me. That's 42. I mean, that could be half. That could be halftime.
But it also depends on how Detroit plays. If Detroit goes into the game, let's sling it, they're going to lose. They gotta wait till the last bit to run each play. They need to almost make it a half-court game.
I disagree. I think they need to score. I think they almost just need to get into a shootout. I think that's the only way they win.
I don't think they win a shootout.
They don't win a shootout. I
don't say they win a shootout, but I'm just saying I think it's their only chance.
I say try to slow it down.
I don't think they can.
Their only chance is if they get 3 interceptions.
I mean, neither team has a good running game right now. I mean, Kevin Smith and Maurice Morris, even though Kevin Smith helped me to a WSCT Fantasy League title, he's
How much
not.
did they pay?
0. It paid good compliments, so it paid a good feeling, which I needed these days. But the Saints have Pierre Thomas when he's not reporting for ABC News, and Mark Ingram gets behind there, and Chris Ivory. I mean, I think both teams are the epitome. There's a poster somewhere that says running back by committee, and it just has a picture of the Saints and Lions. I mean, Javid Best at this point. If I'm Detroit, and we'll get to this in a few minutes, if I'm Detroit in the draft, though, you might want to think about a running back.
Yeah.
Just in case. But I like the Saints, but that game, it kind of scares me a little bit. I mean, I don't think
11-point spread.
I would take Detroit.
That was a pretty high spread for a playoff game.
I mean, I'm
I need to
assuming
see what the Pittsburgh spread is.
I'm assuming that more of this is on New Orleans. I'm assuming more of this is on New Orleans playing good of why that 11-point spread is. It's not indicative of the Lions. But I'm glad the Saints aren't playing the Falcons because, like we mentioned 3 times.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Falcons, they play the Giants in Giants Stadium
Another good transition.
on Sunday.
Let's go Falcons.
I think the Giants can win the Super Bowl, and I think they can lose in the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how
the Giants
extreme they are.
We were saying the same thing a few years ago when they won the Super Bowl.
Right. For this game, I like the Falcons.
I picked the Giants.
Even though I don't think Mike Smith has ever won a playoff game.
Really?
I think Eli's got something going. He'll lead them to a fourth
Yeah, I think
quarter
the
win.
special needs child.
Has Mike Smith ever won a playoff game, to your knowledge? I don't think he has, because last year when they got Green Bay, they got the
I
bye.
think he was just focused on breaking that string of never having consecutive winning seasons. And once
Right.
he got it
I think they've had 2 playoff games with Mike Smith, because Mike Smith's only in like his
lost
3rd year.
in their first game last year to Green Bay.
Right. And he's only in about his third, 4th season, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I heard that stat.
They
on the
lost
radio
that
today,
game
though.
at Arizona. The year Arizona ended up going
Right.
to the Super Bowl.
So I guess maybe if the Giants beat the Falcons, we got a little thing going here. You get to the Super Bowl. But I think this game could go either way. But I just like the Falcons for some reason. I mean, this screams for the Giants to lay the proverbial egg.
Yeah. And I hope they do.
But they could win by 20 also. So I mean, it's the Giants. And you can say that about a lot of teams, but the Giants might be the weirdest team in the NFL to figure.
Yeah.
At least left in this playoffs.
No,
I would agree with
the
that.
weirdest team to figure in this playoffs is Denver.
I
Is
knew
why
you were
they're
gonna say
still
that.
in it.
What a transition by Will Castle. Denver and Pittsburgh.
It's a 9-point spread, by the way. Denver Pittsburgh. It started.
Expect to be more than that.
It only started. Well, since it's playing at Denver, and
Since Roethlisberger's little-
Roethlisberger's and that one other guy for Pittsburgh can't play in high altitude.
Oh,
Right.
Ryan Clark.
And Mendenhall's out.
Right.
And the spread started at 7. It started working away to 9. It'll probably get to 10 before the game
I
starts.
would take Denver on the spread.
It's tempting to take Denver
This-
on this spread.
This just
for a
screams to
touchdown at
me.
the end.
Well, this just and I'm not saying Denver will win. I give Denver a puncher's chance, but this just screams to me. Every games scare me when everyone in the world says it's so obvious. Those are the games that scare me more than
Look at last year.
more than a
New Orleans,
toss-up.
Seattle last
Right.
year.
Absolutely. Well, I thought New Orleans would actually lose that game, but that's just the pessimist in me. But I mean, there's no way Pittsburgh should lose this game. Denver's defense is going to keep them in it, I think. But there's no way Pittsburgh. I mean, believe me. Last week I watched the most of one NFL game that I've watched this season. Denver and Kansas City.
Wow, you picked a good one.
If I didn't love my TV so much, I would have gone Louisville Slugger on it because I rescind. We'll get to this in a few minutes too. Of our MVP voting, I rescind every vote I've ever given Tim Tebow. I don't know how Denver. I think it would be unpopular if they go in because I think he's such a cult fan favorite in Denver, but he cannot move the football. And granted, I think he's got that magic. He's got Jack's magic beans to lead drives. It wasn't there last week because the beanstalk had grown. But I just don't see how you can go in to a season with him as your starter and the future of your team.
We'll get to that later.
But
Yeah.
that's just me.
What do you think the over-under on the game is?
39.
I would go lower than that. I would say like 31.
34. I'm almost going to take the over. Because,
How is Denver going to score any points?
it's just a matter of... They seem to sometimes find a junk touchdown here or there. But if Pittsburgh Roethlisberger just unleashes it and just keeps throwing it,
I could see this being like a 20-10 game somewhere in there. So I would say under, but with you said it was what 34?
34.
If I'm predicting the score and it's within 6, I don't feel good enough either way to really solidly take that over under.
Yeah.
But this could be a lot of Matt Prater, and that's probably Denver's best hope
Yeah.
if it's a lot of Matt Prater. But who's running the ball for Pittsburgh?
Is it Redmond?
Redmond, I think they have John Clay, who I forget where he came
Wisconsin.
from. Wisconsin, that's what I thought.
Red is not been as good as they probably could do.
And again, we'll get to it later about Pittsburgh and their future. But let's kind of go on, just pretending we don't do another roundtable again before.
Let me just say, for one thing,
Yes, please.
what's sad is I'm looking forward to that Pittsburgh-Denver game more than any other this weekend.
You out of the four?
Yeah.
Really?
Kind of just...
It's a curiosity factor.
Yeah, you just... Part of you wants Tebow to do good. Just to maybe...
Which part?
Depends on if I put money on the game. But because there's part of anytime I'm always kind of rooting for the underdog, because that's what Tebow was at the beginning, and then now he's like the popular, and then he sucked for the past 3 weeks, and so he's back being an underdog, and you kind of want him to maybe man up. That's kind of why. Because I could care. Cause Houston and Cincinnati, neither of those two are going to the Super Bowl, so I could care less about that game. Pittsburgh, Denver. Pittsburgh has a solid shot to go to the Super Bowl.
I picked them early in the season. I'm going to stick with them. But let's look ahead to next week.
What about you? You didn't give it
well, I mean, if take the Saints out of it because they're my favorite team. Atlanta and the Giants. For some reason, I mean, I think
I think that might be the best play.
It's intriguing.
Game, I think.
To me, it's intriguing. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you, Pittsburgh, Denver. I mean, I'm going to be broadcasting Lynchburg College in Holland while Cincinnati and Houston.
In Holland.
Houston.
Wow, that's a road trip.
I would think about going to Holland rather than watching Cincinnati and Houston. It does nothing for me. Even if that Houston team is totally healthy, I mean, even if Houston was totally healthy and had Schaub, Mario Williams, Foster, Andre Johnson, everybody at 100%, I think it's even more of a blowout. I don't say it's going to be a blowout, but I think it's, that spread could be at least 12 if everybody is a go, but they're not.
They're not.
Next week, it would be the divisional round. Now, we all have New Orleans winning, correct?
Yes.
Against Detroit?
Yes.
Yes.
So that means they will go to San Francisco. Game scares me a little bit as a Saints fan.
Yeah. I mean, be scared. I mean,
even though I think San Francisco, honestly, out of every team out of the 4 teams that got byes, I think they're clearly the worst.
yes.
I mean,
But they may be the best coached team. With the least amount of talent.
Ironically, think about it. The 2 teams that got byes that honestly you would consider the worst are both coached by a guy named Harbaugh.
I don't agree with that, but
I don't know because I view the other 3, taking out San Francisco.
Yeah.
I view the other 3 as legit shots to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't view San Francisco as a legit shot.
I know. That's what,
to go to the Super
and
Bowl.
on
So
the AFC side, the 4 teams that got byes.
no, the 2 he's talking about overall.
I'm talking overall.
San Francisco's the only one that.
Oh.
I mean,
there's 4, and my brain is fried.
It's hard for, I mean, out of Baltimore and New England, I give New England a slight edge if that matchup were to come. So I guess maybe, yes, the 2 Hardballs are probably the underdogs out of the teams that have byes, but I don't think the Saints should lose to the 49ers.
They shouldn't.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did lose to the 49ers.
I think if the Saints throw early and throw often,
Well, they're not going to run the ball.
No, because the one thing San Francisco I don't think has quite realized is that you don't get extra points for 50-yard kicks from David Akers.
Only in the fantasy world.
Yeah, only in the fantasy world.
How is the Saints' run defense? Because if they can stop Gore, I think they could win big.
I don't think the Saints. I think the Saints' defense is more of a situation of you score, we'll get the ball back, type of thing. And I mean, San Francisco obviously I would think is going to go ball control. Because they don't want the less Drew Brees has the ball, better off for San Francisco. But I could see the Saints losing that game. In fact, I will pick San Francisco here and now.
All right, you heard it here.
That could change. You?
I think the Saints win.
Yeah, I have New Orleans.
Hope you're right.
Reverse psychology.
Hope you're right. That would mean you guys have the Giants beating the Falcons. I have the Falcons winning. Either one of them goes to Lambeau. I got Green Bay over Atlanta. But not maybe if the Giants get there, I think the Giants have a better shot at beating Green Bay and Lambeau than the Falcons do.
Agree.
They almost beat them before.
Yeah.
I think Green Bay wins that.
I mean, the only thing Green Bay has to worry about is, are they going to be a little rusty? Because of the fact that, in essence, Rodgers hasn't played for 3 weeks or 2.
It will have been
2
2 full weeks off and then
And you know,
I'm not a fan of that, by the way.
I know you're not.
Let me just say that.
You are not.
Well, you're not either, are you?
I have no problem with them sitting a little bit. I mean, I think Rodgers should have played this first half of that game.
I say 3/4, but
You know. I mean, he's a pro. I just think keeping him in for an entire half, I think, is sufficient.
I just think if you don't play the guy at all in week 17, and I think week 17 to a degree has become week 1 of the 2012 preseason to a degree. I just think I would rather take the chance of having someone get hurt and keeping them in rhythm than sitting them. You know, granted, rhythm can be overrated because these guys are professionals, but if you're hot, don't sit.
Then do you have a problem with the Houston Texans going for 2 in the win?
Not really.
Because that's what they did.
Yeah, I mean, as our buddy Herm would say, you played to win the game. I mean, they went for a win. I mean, they didn't. Were they sitting Arian Foster and Andre Johnson on that play?
To go for the 2-point
Right.
conversion? They were in a shotgun because the meathead tight end got a false start call.
Right, but they didn't put in Popke.
Well, the snap went over Delhone's head. So.
Yeah, way over his head.
They didn't put in Popke and Charlie Banks, did they? I mean, you know, it's a situation to where you put in your. I mean, I don't think you know if it's a formation change, you know, and you're going to go 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends, and take out a back or a receiver. That's one thing, but I mean, to take out Andre Johnson and Arian Foster, and I'm not saying they did this. I'm just making a point.
I'm pretty sure Johnson was in. No, there was a running back in the backfield. I assume it was Foster.
Well, my whole point is if you took out Johnson and Foster and put in wide receiver 4 and running back 3, then I have a problem with it. But if they're just going to go for 2 to go for the win, no problem.
Yeah.
No problems here. You?
I don't like it. But
Why?
mostly because I picked Houston. They keep losing.
But I mean, it's not. I can okay that rather than sitting somebody for a whole game. I don't think that is
I will agree with
advantageous at all. Green Bay though.
Yeah, they win.
Okay, so I would have Green Bay in San Francisco. You guys would have Green Bay in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'm taking Green Bay.
I have the Saints. I think they're the hottest team right now.
But it worries me because they're so hot. I think they've won 8 straight.
Okay, you're like trying to convince yourself that somehow being
I
good
just
is
worry.
not a good thing.
I just worry about being too hot per se. But that's just me.
I really think it comes down. It really. However, both teams get to the championship game, I think it's really going to determine how. It's almost going to think it's going to be the opposite of however they play in that game. It's a weird thing with me on that. I think the Saints win.
I hope so. I mean, I hope y'all are right. Believe me, I'm not rooting against New Orleans. I would like to know, and I don't have the number 2 Elias to call the sports bureau with me, the most wins somebody has had to end the season. I mean, the Dolphins, obviously, 72, would be there just because they went undefeated.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what's the most wins that, did somebody start off like 5-3 and then just run the table? Or, something like that. I mean, nothing stands out to me. I mean, if you have a wild card team, chances are they could have gotten hot at the end of the year, but
Well, it kind of didn't. That's how the Packers got into the playoffs last year. They got hot near the end,
but
got to 16.
My whole thing is how many did they win in a row?
I don't think they were 8, but
We'd have to check it, but I know one of the years that New England won it all, Their last loss of the year was to the Redskins, and it was like week 5. It was somewhere around that range.
I mean, I just think in the NFL, with everybody being, quote unquote good, or at least professional, I just think it's hard to put a winning streak together of, even what the Patriots did the year they lost to the Giants still should not be considered a failure at all.
No.
Even
the Giants players say, we play 10 times, we lose 9 of those times.
Right. And
even they say, you got,
right.
that horse you just having me kind of more your butt than the other teams.
So you guys got New Orleans to the Super Bowl. I've got Green Bay. AFC, we all have Pittsburgh over Denver, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we all have Houston
over Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. That would send Pittsburgh to New England and Houston to Baltimore. Let's get the obvious one out of the way, in my opinion, first. I think Baltimore tramples Houston like a redheaded stepchild. No offense to the redheaded stepchildren out there.
Will's going to disagree.
There's one thing preventing that to happen. His name is Joe Flacco. The one thing Baltimore's gotten done most of the season, it's not because of Flacco, it's because of Ray Rice. If Houston is still a good defense, just their offense is weak. It's kind of one of those, your best part of your team for both teams is on one side of the ball. I think Houston wins, actually. Yeah.
Well, I have Baltimore winning the Super Bowl, so I'm not going to...
I just don't think T.J. Yates or Jake Delhomme can survive the Baltimore defense like I could see Flacco
One thing about Baltimore defense,
surviving.
they ain't spring chickens anymore.
No, I know that, but I mean,
They still have good pass rushers, though.
Yeah.
I just think I think they, if Houston had Matt Schaub, I might not be saying that.
And honestly,
But T.J. Yates might have a wet spot on his pants by the end of that game. And I mean, Jake Delhomme's no spring chicken either. I don't know if he can move out of the pocket.
Here's something that I think Houston should almost work on. 2-quarterback system. Almost like college. Yates has the speed, Delhomme has maturity, probably the accuracy.
How much speed does Yates have?
I don't know, he's black.
No, he isn't.
No, he's white.
He's not?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Strike that
He
comment.
wasn't fast in college.
Oh. TJ, maybe TJ, I just want to do it black.
Didn't he go, isn't he from Carolina?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't watch Carolina football.
I figured the chances of you doing one ACC game in 4 years with Carolina was probably
Not
it.
football.
But would you like to rewind that comment?
I think you can try to work off a 2-quarterback system. Why not?
Who's quarterback 3 in Houston?
I think you are, aren't you?
No, I got cut last week. I mean, if they
That was
had
Caleb Haney's brother, Kyle.
no, he got cut the week before me. Maybe if you want to run Wildcat, maybe that'll freak. I don't think you're going to be able to surprise Baltimore, though. Put Arian Foster. Yeah, put Arian Foster back there and let him take some snaps. Sure, but I see Baltimore, and I really don't see it being close. But anyway, Pittsburgh, New England.
I think New England's one and done. I got the Steelers. Their defense is just so bad. I think when you play a good team in the playoffs, that's going to come back to haunt them.
I picked the Steelers to win to go to the Super Bowl at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with your guns, Bob.
I'm going to, but I'm going to make a case why I think New England might win. You don't have Mendenhall, and I don't think Mendenhall is Tony Dorsett or Eric Dickerson or anybody. But I think he's a little bit better than Isaac Redmond and John Clay.
Yeah.
Number 2, it's on the road. Granted, Pittsburgh can win in New England. I don't think it's impossible.
They did.
Right. But it's on the road. Who's covering Gronkowski from Pittsburgh?
Polamalu?
I just think Gronkowski is the biggest matchup problem. I think
And Hernandez, both of them.
tight end is the
Yeah.
new it position, in my opinion, because I think it takes very little college seasoning to play.
Yeah.
Hello, Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was my
I'll tell you one
point.
thing. I get any senior that's a tight end, they got to be loving this shit. because they're probably going to get drafted potentially
I think it
around
depends.
higher than they probably are. Just the fact, like, tight end.
Well, I don't think. Name me Tex tight end.
Danny Cole?
Chris Drager.
I thought Cole was a tight end.
No, he's a
Okay.
standing wideout.
I haven't seen much of Tech football. Give me Chris Drager's body. Is he a senior even?
Yes, he's a converted defensive lineman. So
Okay.
that tells you what kind of body he has.
He's not getting picked early. I mean, to me, this is the old thing right now. Your next threat to be the boxing heavyweight champion is playing football somewhere. I think your next threat at a tight end is almost playing basketball somewhere. I don't think it's a football. I don't know if this is going to make sense, but I don't think tight end right now is a football position. Do you get anybody get what I'm saying? Off
Like an
that?
Antonio Gates type of
Right,
situation. Yeah.
right. Tony Gonzalez, I mean, also was a basketball
So it's
player.
basically impossible to predict because
I think it's an athletic position right now to where it's not, run out 4 yards and lay a block.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you want, I'm assuming Gronkowski can block, but I don't think it's necessarily we're viewing you as the sixth offensive line. Look at Finley too. I mean, Finley's athletic.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those. You almost have right now. You have like three types of tight ends in the league. You have the bad ones, and that's the majority of them. You have the old schoolers, Gonzalez and Witten, and then you have that new breed. Even though Gates is older, but and Finley and people like that.
I don't know that I would call Gonzalez and Witten Leo.
They're more. I mean, in terms of, Witten is still a good blocker, and he can catch the ball.
Right, but they're more. To me, they're more of a receiving threat. I look at somebody like a Jeff King,
Yeah.
who's in either Arizona or Carolina now. I can't remember
Arizona.
which, but I view him as the. I don't want to say bad ones, but I view him as the blocking, as the guy that you're not worried about catching the football.
But the one thing with someone like Finley or Gates, I think the other ones we were just talking about, kind of space over name. Gronkowski and Hernandez, they're going out a lot deeper, I think now, than the 4 yards out. I still think a lot of times, someone like Shockey, Witten, and Gonzalez, their first goal is 4 out and try occasionally go deep.
I disagree, but that's just. I mean, I think Gronkowski, Graham, people like that can make a defender pay and carry them down the field. I think Gonzalez and Witten and Gates at this point. Well, Gates is hard to tell just because he's hurt all the time. I think Gonzalez and Witten are still known for their receiving first, but I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're guys that you're gonna know if they hit you. Like
Good
I think
to be a tight end right now.
Good to be a tight
Good to be a
end.
tight end.
Good to be a tight end. I don't even remember how this conversation. I said who's going to stop Gronkowski. I've got Pittsburgh winning, but I don't think it's a gimme. Obviously,
Middle of the season, New England come off the bye. They always play Pittsburgh well, and Pittsburgh stomped the mud hole in them. Pittsburgh, in many ways, like the Giants, they work off momentum. If they got good momentum, they're going to win. I think Pittsburgh.
okay. So we all have Pittsburgh. That would mean, let's see, you had
we
Baltimore.
would have
Obviously,
Pittsburgh or Baltimore.
and
and
he's
we'd
going to have Houston. Pittsburgh at Houston.
It has to be trip number 9 for the Steelers. Damn it.
Well, if you pick Houston to go to the Super Bowl,
No, I ain't that stupid. I'm dumb, but I ain't stupid.
You got Baltimore over Pittsburgh. I've got Pittsburgh over Baltimore.
yeah, this would be one of those 9 to 6 games that you love. Well, I love. I like.
Best rivalry in football right now?
I'm
Pittsburgh,
very biased, so I can't.
What, Redskins, Cowboys?
Yeah.
That's not really a rivalry at this
Pittsburgh,
point.
Baltimore, I think still solid.
It's a good one. It's a real good one.
I mean, I think the Cowboys and the Redskins are probably the most historic rivalry in the league.
Yeah,
You can
but
argue
it
Cowboys,
seems like-
Packers, and stuff like that, too. Cowboys are in all these rivalries, it seems.
The one thing, it seems like, especially the past 20 years, when Washington's played Dallas, both have never been good.
Right.
One's always been on a rebuilding season. Occasionally both have been bad,
Right.
but they've never both been good. Take Baltimore and Pittsburgh, however,
And that's probably why Pittsburgh and Cleveland is not as big a rivalry as it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Because Cleveland hasn't been good.
When is this might be a very obvious question, I'm just not thinking. Pittsburgh and Baltimore both made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
When's the last time they both didn't make the playoffs?
Pittsburgh has had a few years where they haven't.
Well, who did Pittsburgh play? Pittsburgh played. Did they play Baltimore in the AFC Championship last year?
No, the Jets
No,
were in
the
the
Jets.
championship.
Okay. So who beat Baltimore? Pittsburgh beat Baltimore though in the round before that, I think.
I think you're right.
It was either that or the year before. I thought they had met. So they have not met in the AFC title game. I thought they had.
I'm not sure.
This is why I love us doing this without facts, like without the computer here. I mean, it's not like we can cheat and we're having to go off mine. If anybody ever wants to email us, the sportsbuffet@gmail.com will take your criticisms and
We do have smartphones, though.
We do, but my phone's not smart at all. I see Pittsburgh and Green Bay.
Wow, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, doesn't it though? Exciting Super Bowl. If we'd had OTAs, maybe I'd have changed my mind. And training camps and things like that. Green Bay.
So I got the what? You got Saints Steelers? Is that what I have?
Sounds right.
Yeah. Just the fact that I don't feel like seeing another damn ring on the Steelers' fingers. Go Saints.
I hope you're right. Green Bay's defense is going to have to step up at some point.
Yeah.
In this whole thing, no matter
More the
who.
secondary.
How many sacks do the big boys have?
They can still rush, and they're still the linebackers. I think they're pretty good. I think they're secondary. That's why I was saying a few weeks ago. If it's Packers Patriots, betting the over.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but has B.J. Raji been as dominant as he was last year?
Not as, but still solid.
I mean, I could argue Aaron Rodgers more dominant than he was last year. But I mean,
We're not talking about their offense.
I know, but my whole point is, did the defense maybe get feeling too good about themselves, reading the press clippings, things of that sort, type of thing. Saints and Ravens.
And then they lose to Kansas City.
Yeah, I have Baltimore. I picked them at the beginning of the year. I'm going to stick with them.
No.
Even though they have had some games where they just look like absolute crap.
If they play the Saints, how many points do you think they hold New Orleans to?
24?
Okay, I would. And you think Flacco can get 25?
Ray Rice can get 25. They can score a defensive touchdown and win.
Okay.
Ed Reed, in his last game of his career, will come through.
You're an NFL executive, right? It's not a matter of ratings because Super Bowl always gets high ratings. Every Super Bowl now keeps breaking Mash's record, which I still think is bullshit.
Breaks what?
Mash's,
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, sporting events should not count for that.
Agree.
But
Agree.
Yeah, apples and oranges.
We'll do that on the TV podcast later on, which you can find at Big Willie.
BigLeagueHassel.com. You're an executive.
What Super Bowl do I want the most?
Yeah. I mean, or you're a producer. You need to get the best stories. Go.
I mean, I would feel like the one that would draw the biggest ratings would probably be the Patriots and the Giants, based on the markets.
I like the Green Bay New England Super Bowl, probably.
Yeah, but Green Bay, I mean, they have
Green
a
Bay's
decent
Green
following.
Bay, though. I mean, the Super Bowl I would not want would be,
Bengals.
Well, I was going to say Houston.
Yeah.
Houston and anyone.
Yeah.
Well,
Pretty
Houston's still a
much.
big city.
I don't look at it as much. This is the Super Bowl. It's not the World Series.
Yeah,
It's not
that's what
the
I think.
NBA
That's
Finals.
what I'm saying. Market.
I don't think
like
market size matters as much as I mean, I just say the market size matters a little bit more in those, like in that Saturday Sunday playoff game, because I think you put the
Actually, there's one game you're forgetting that I think would probably be its biggest ratings. Mighty Packers versus Jesus.
Denver.
To answer your question about the best storylines, I think that game for that would be the Ravens and the Niners.
That's what I was thinking too. But since they already played Thanksgiving,
Doesn't matter.
that was my first thought too. But you wonder how far you can stretch that out.
You can show the parents in the crowds with the split jerseys like 50 times.
Actually, chances are the father will be wearing one, mom
Yeah.
will be wearing the other, and then halftime they switch.
I remember Brady Quinn, the quarterback for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
His sister was dating an
Oh,
Ohio.
AJ Hawk.
Yeah. Well, at the time when he was in college,
Yeah.
and so she had the split like Notre Dame Ohio State jersey when they played in a bowl game.
Did you say the Super Bowl you didn't want to see?
Oh. Atlanta and Houston.
Yeah, that doesn't do a whole lot for me either.
That'd be like, who?
Yeah.
And I mean, what story can you get out of that? I mean, if Shaw was still playing,
I don't
you
even.
could at least
I
get a
couldn't
little
believe.
bit.
Not by much, except
Well, I'm
two-
reaching.
Yeah,
players switch
two
teams all the time.
ACC. Shaw used to play for Atlanta. You know,
Yeah, the BC UNC rivalry. There you go.
Well, let's hope we don't see that one.